And good morning, everyone. Stay as you are. Good morning to those joining us online. If you aren't already, go ahead and get into a comfortable position, either on your back with a bolster behind you or bolster underneath your knees. Or just laying flat, maybe with the knees bent, resting against each other. Whatever pose is the most comfortable for your body, where you can really just let go. Let your legs go, let your upper torso go, your arms, your head. And today is a study day. Every time you show up on your mat, it becomes a study day. And what you're studying is yourself. In yoga, that's called svadhyaya, self-study. And like any good place to study, you want it to be not cluttered, right? Not cluttered with thoughts, not a cluttered room, spacious. Somewhere where you don't get interrupted. That includes yourself. So just arrive here in your space of study. And as a person that studies, you have to be a student. Your body knows and you are listening. You're taking in the information of what your body knows. And then once you grasp this pose, this position in your body, and then maybe move to the next chapter. Maybe that's a nice big breath in, full. And a big loud sigh as you exhale. Maybe you do that 2 more times, 3 more times, maybe 4, up to you. And then once you've read that chapter, you move on maybe to the next. Maybe it's a breath that really works to get your attention perked up a little bit more each time. And then you start moving your toes and your fingers. Maybe you turn your head from side to side. And each movement, each breath is still something that you can learn from. And then maybe reach your arms up and above your head. Maybe stretch long, maybe toes long. Whatever you need. And then whatever gets you there, maybe come in to roll onto your side and make your way to child's pose. Or rock up, maybe palms onto the floor and then push yourself up. And then we're coming into child's pose, our first pose of the day. Not long. You could use a bolster. You don't have to use a bolster, up to you. Rest your forehead down. Arms can reach out. Arms can be alongside your body. We're here for a little bit. If your head is turned, I'll let you know when we're halfway point. Each pose is a new subject to look into, to read, to watch, to feel. It's like learning languages, but it's your body's language. If your head is turned, go ahead and turn it the other way. Notice if you're distracted in your study, your svadhyaya. Be kind to the interruption. Just notice it, say hi to it, but also if it's not relating to your study, just say thank you, maybe not right now. Then take a nice big breath here. And an empty. Just come up onto your hands and your knees. If you haven't moved much today, we're just going to do some few cat-cows or hip rotations, up to you. Close your eyes and again, come into it like a student with an open mind, getting ready to learn. Great. Make sure you're nice and even. Once you are, take your bolster in front of you, just underneath your hips. This is a nice restorative pose, nothing big, you just loosen into the lower back. So it should be just on your pelvis, so the hip bones should rest on the bolster. If you have a pretty full bladder, you might have to shift forward a bit. So depending on you, you could have your elbows nice and close to you, and you could rest your head down onto the floor. Some of you might have your arms out and use your hand as the back of a pillow. Your head can be on the floor. Let your legs relax. So let your knees maybe touch ground, or maybe let your heels fall out to the side. Again, not here long, just another one to settle into the softness of your body. Let your shoulders go. Make sure you can breathe. If the bolster is pressing into the belly, into your diaphragm, maybe breathe into the lungs instead. If your head is turned, turn it the other way. Last breath to study in this pose here. And take your time, come up onto your hands and your knees. And then no rush, come into a seated position. It's our first full length, 4 minutes. So take your right foot into your left thigh. I'm going to do my right. If your knee is kind of lifted, feel free to take a bolster or roll up your sweater or your jacket underneath to support it. Just take it relax. Sit nice and tall. Nice. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and just fold. So half butterfly, half dragonfly. If your knee does come down and you want to use your bolster to rest on, you can as well too. So this is kind of targeting two things here. This is targeting maybe a hamstring stretch on your straight leg, a nice opening in the hip and the opposite leg. If you're very tight in your whole back line, you might feel it in your back, but make sure you're just allowing gravity to let you fold. If it's all too much, again, use your bolster to support you. You could use your fist or prayer hands to rest your forehead on. Let everything relax. So even that straight leg can let your toes fall out to the side, or if you want it to fall in, give it an angle that works. You can make sure your neck is comfortable too. If you are struggling to create that folding effect, you feel you're kind of more folding back or leaning back or putting a lot of effort, you could take the bolster underneath your bum. And that might give you a little bit more fold as well. That's a bit better, Brian. We're halfway there. And you have opportunities, especially the time here, to almost be a scientist and study how it feels in your body, to maybe adjust a little bit. Things might change, might shift, and there might be something there that you can sensation of your body. So we've come up to the 4-minute mark. I'm going to give you in the last minute another option here. So just look up, but keep folding forward, That bent leg, if you want to try this, you're going to tuck it under so there's more in. And you might fold less or fold more. If you're like, this doesn't work for your knee, don't worry about it. It's only one last minute. Make sure your knee is happy. If your knee is not happy, don't bother. Last couple breaths. And take your time, come on up. Take a rebound. So a rebound is anything that is comfortable. Laying on your back or your stomach. Bolster behind you or underneath your legs. Think of rebound as a point of review, reviewing your work, reviewing what you've done. Noticing anything that you adjust for next time or pay attention to more next time. Or give credit to yourself for if this feels amazing, whatever you've done. And then go ahead around the breath. Take your time, come back up to sit. Other leg. So everyone kind of just did different lengths. So whichever leg you had bent, swap to the other side. Nice. Use your block, bolster, or props however way you like. Sit tall, and when you're ready, fold on forward. No rush. Even the transition there to fold is quite something to look at and observe and watch. There's never any rush. You've got the time. If it's too much strain for your head, again, support it somehow. Maybe have your elbows onto your thighs and rest your chin onto your fists like the thinker. Experiment with your straight leg, how much you let go into it and how much you slightly switch it on. And Svadhyaya, known as self-study. Because we all know this is one that will always evolve. You know, as you age, as your environment changes, as your habits change, your body will evolve and you'll have to go back into studying it again. Every morning is an opportunity to study the best text that is so close to you. And coming to the last minute, you're welcome to stay like so, or just tuck that foot under. And just again, make sure your knees are happy. And just be amazed of how much your body adjusts to sensations, and the changes the sensation with just a small movement like that. And take your time to your rebound. No rush. Any rebound that works. If seated is comfortable for you today, feel free. And come on up. No rush. Sit nice and tall. So this next one, also known as Caesar, we're sleeping here on regular classes. We're focusing on a nice opening in the quad. I'll give you other options if this doesn't work for you. But maybe if it does, you can play around with your knees wide or knees together, feet wide. You might just lean back. You might lean all the way onto your back. If for those that are, touch and go with their knees, all good, understandable. Maybe just attempt with one leg. If it's still a little bit not great for your knees, you can lay on your side and just encourage to hold your legs and push your knees back. Can be a nice quad stretch as well. Yeah, holding your top leg. Yeah. Nope. Not here for too long, 3 minutes. If you're on one side, go ahead and turn to the other. For those laying on your side and you feel a bit unbalanced, that bottom leg can come further forward, keeps you a little bit more supportive. You have one last breath here. Go ahead, come on out, take your time, rebound. Any rebounds left? A moment to review, a moment to breathe, moment to notice. You're not that far off for being a postdoc or a PhD to knowing yourself better. There's people out there that just study breath, just simply breath. You can do that. You've got one. Come up with your own synopsis, conclusions, new experiments. Breathe fully here. And take your time, no rush. Sit up nice and tall. All right, shoelace. So there's called a shoelace family in yin because it could be any variation. So this is a tight shoelace, also known as cow face pose in yoga or Gomukhasana. And basically imagine a shoelace, untying it if this doesn't work for you. You could get kind of a loose shoelace, a broken shoelace where they're not touched. So any version you'd like, focus on your outer glutes and stretch. Yeah. Sit nice and tall. You might sit on the bolster again if you like. And maybe sitting tall is plenty good. Maybe within the 5 minutes that we're in here, you might begin to lean forward. You might to use your bolster. You might go a little further. You might go the opposite. It might be too strong and too intense that you back off and you start to lean back instead. Right? This is your 5 minutes to study, to experiment, not just in the feeling in your body, but also in the breath, the tallness in your spine, the softness in your shoulders, maybe. Maybe something comes up. Your knee starts to tell you something. Listen. If it's painful, back off. If it's uncomfortable, study it more. And remember, if you are cross-legged, we're going to eventually cross our legs the other way. Maybe play around with what works for your head. You're halfway there. What have you learned so far? Last 30 seconds here. Take your time before you completely come out. Just remember what leg is in front and which leg is behind. Maybe lean on back, take a rebound, or you could just lean and just windshield wipe. And then take your time to the other side. So if you did just cross your legs, like you would, usually cross your legs, This one side is probably going to be uncomfortable, especially if it's not your common side. Please take a moment, sit nice and tall. Again, use your bolster if you need to. Maybe sit tall, lean back after you begin. Maybe after every few rounds of breath, you go forward a little bit more. If you've forgotten why you're here, remember you're studying yourself. You're studying the difference in your body today than what it was yesterday or the week before or the month before or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. We never stop being a student. Last breath here. And come on up. And just bring your knees together. Give yourself a hug just to neutralize. Maybe rock side to side on your hip bones just so your pelvis comes back to neutral. Maybe forehead onto your knees or rest here for a few breaths. If your forehead doesn't meet your knee, you could use your arms, whatever is good. And then go ahead and take either your bolster vertical or horizontal, depending what you prefer. Vertical is a little bit more comfortable. We'll get a nice cactus arms and open into our chest and the front body. If you want to do horizontal, it might be a little bit more intense if you want to take it that direction. You could interlace your fingers and let your head drop back into your hands and let your elbows open up wide. Not here long, only 3 minutes. Have your bum on the floor. So any variation you like. You could have your bolster horizontal or vertical, either one. And options with your legs, you could keep your knees bent, press them against each other, feet wide, legs straight, or feet together, knees wide. If it's too much for your arm, too much for your shoulder, you could bring it down a little bit, or more bend in the elbows, or maybe just completely down to your side body, but palms up. Encourage that nice opening in the chest. You got just a little over a minute here. Any final breath in this pose. So no worries about getting up, but if that's the more comfortable way to get out of this, feel free, but lay on your back without the bolster underneath. You could just roll to your side and just push the bolster away, or if you need to get up, feel free. We'll finish with a couple twists here. So bend your knees, lift your hips up and just shift it to the right, and up your knees to the left. or vice versa, it doesn't matter. You could take your opposite arm, opposite direction of your knee, to just reach away. Since you've got that nice chest opener, you can include more of it again. And then you could play around. You could stay here. You could bring the knee closer towards your chest. You could wrap your right leg around the left, or vice versa, left leg wraps around the right. Any twist you want to take. Now that you know your body so much more better this morning, you get to familiarize what your body wants more or wants less of. And take your time, come on back up to the center. Swap to the other side, so shift your hips to the left. Take your knees to the right. And if it works, similar pose as you did on the other, twisting in whatever way, but the opposite direction. And coming down to, the last couple minutes of experimenting in different positions in your body, different lengths in your body. A different breath pattern in a different pose. Self-studying. Study for yourself, study for your body, study for your growth. And study for the love for yourself. Last round of breath in this pose. And take your time, come back to the center. Give yourself a hug, knees in towards your chest. Maybe rock side to side or whatever. Get your hips to neutralize and your spine to come to neutral. And then go ahead into your final resting pose. That can be anything. Bolster underneath your legs or bolster behind your back. Bolster as a pillow. Up to you. Yeah, feel free to put your socks or shoes, not shoes, your jacket or sweater on. Get cozy. And finish off with, one last opportunity to notice your breath, to focus on the breath. Do 3 to 4 rounds of even inhales and exhales. As many rounds as you need to feel like you're in your study space again, quietly. And then once you're in that space, just step back and witness all that you've learned. Let go of the control of your breath. Let everything be involuntary. And take your time, come back to your study space, the center of your breath. And then take a full breath in that center. Move toes, move fingers. Stretch long arms above your head, legs long. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. No rush whatsoever. Come up to sit however way you want to get there. Palms together. Bow your head down towards your thumb. And take a moment to just give gratitude to this body of yours for being so wise, so informative, so inspiring. The best in me honors and acknowledges the best in you. We're all doing our best. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Good to see you, guys.